Aaron, who do you want for Fighter Pass 2? Who do you want in Fighter Pass 2? What character do you hoping to see? Who do you want to be in Smash? What character do you want to see fighting Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch? Aaron, will you sub for sub? Who do you want to see in Smash? 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 Who do you want to see? Apparently, there are still people who want me to talk about who I want in Smash. And so, because of that, you guys get another video about it. If you've seen those past videos that I've made, I'm sorry if it seems like I'm repeating myself, but I truly just get this question all the time. But my channel has also grown a decent amount since that last video, which, to my surprise, was actually almost 6 months ago. But since then, not only has the first Fighter Pass been completed, but we now have hard confirmation on how many spots there are on the second Fighter Pass. Warning! This video has opinions in it! Nothing I say in this is fact or truth in any way, shape, or form. I merely want to talk about characters that I personally think would be neat to see in Smash. Nothing I say in this video is meant to talk down to anybody or try and invalidate anyone's picks. Everyone that you want in the game is just as valid as everyone that I want, so let's not be dickheads in the comments. No character is more likely or less likely than anyone else, unless you want someone like Bernie Sanders or Goku. So with that said, let's jump in. First up is your boy, Geno. Now don't hit that dislike button. I know a ton of you are already rolling your eyes. Look, I know a lot of people don't want Geno because he's an obscure old character, but what can I say? I like that kind of aspect of Smash. Ice Climbers, Mr. Game & Watch, Rob, these are all characters that before they were added to the game probably would have been called too irrelevant or too obscure as well. People even said the same about Banjo before he was revealed, and regardless of your opinion, he still got in. So deeming a character old or irrelevant, it just doesn't really feel like an excuse to me. But that's the fun aspect of Smash. It's kind of like a gaming history book in a way. You get all kinds of representatives. New characters like Joker, old reps like Banjo, that's the fun of it. Having the mindset that only more recent popular characters can get in just seems a bit limiting. We'd miss some really cool characters if that was the case. Plus, Mr. Sakurai himself has said that a character being fun to play is far more important to the development team for their choices than simply being a recognizable character. So with that said, I think that Geno would be cool. Just like Banjo was for the first Fighter Pass, Geno could be an old classic rep for the second Fighter Pass, and one that has a potentially very cool moveset. In Super Mario RPG, Geno has the ability to summon meteors from the sky, fire lasers out of his hand, and transform into a giant cannon. Now to me, that sounds like a unique character that could be very fun. It also helps that it's well known that back in Brawl, Sakurai personally wanted to see Geno added to the game. So if this is the last Smash game that we could potentially see from Sakurai, what a way to send him off by having him put a character that he's wanted for a decade into the game. My next pick is Crash Bandicoot. Crash seems like he could be a rep from both the old school and new school days, and that sounds a little weird, but let me explain. Crash absolutely had his golden years back on the PlayStation 1 and then part of the PlayStation 2. There were so many hits in so many different genres. And now he has a great success in the remasters of some of those games. With both Crash and Sane Trilogy and Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, he has seen a bit of a renaissance and he's more popular now than he has been in years. And to me, this kind of, in a way, relates to Hero's role in the Fighter Pass. Dragon Quest is a decades-old franchise, and it has representation across its whole timeline in Smash. From early protagonists all the way up to the most recent protagonist in the series, it represents a franchise as a whole, from the old to the new. And Crash and Smash could do the same for his series. While it would only be him being represented, it would be a clever representation for both the older players who played his game on the PlayStation, like me, and for the newer generation who may have been first introduced to his games with the remakes. It would just be a really cool way to offer something for everyone. Plus, I mean, Incineroar already has Crash's signature move, so it's an easy copy and paste, am I right? I mean, that's how easy it is to develop Smash, obviously. Twitter said so. Next, let's talk about a hot topic character.
Sora!
The complications that come with Disney being involved make this an interesting conversation, especially recently. A few weeks ago, there was apparently news that broke, saying that Nintendo requested Sora to be included in Smash Ultimate, but Disney allegedly blocked the request. Unfortunately, the person who spoke about that doesn't actually have any ties to Disney or Nintendo. While he is a reliable game journalist, nothing he has said about Sora has any kind of evidence to back it up. In the actual video podcast, it's very clear that he's talking with the air of speculation. But when you translate that specifically from voice to text, the meaning becomes distorted because you don't have context of the conversation, you can't pick up tone, it just doesn't translate well. The whole conversation was speculative at best, but the internet heard about this somehow, blew it up, and took it as fact. I don't think Disney would be out of touch enough to not allow Sora to be included. If Nintendo was interested, Disney would probably be totally on board, and we of course know that Square Enix would be interested in including their property, considering both Cloud and Hero are both in the game, despite how little music comes with both of them. And personally, I don't think that Sora is an unreasonable request, as he really seems to be one of the most popular choices that hasn't been added yet. On top of that, he has a rich library of games that go back almost 2 decades, and a wide variety of moves that could be chosen from those games. Each Kingdom Hearts game effectively has different combos that Sora can utilize. Even the magic that is supposed to be exactly the same has a different function, so it would be really easy to either base the moveset off of one specific game, or combine all of the different games that Sora's been in. Just for games that Sora has been in, and not including remakes, there are still 5 different games with 5 different combat systems that could be used as a basis for Smash. Hypothetically, moveset-wise, he could have like 3 different iterations of movesets for Smash that were completely and totally unique from each other. That's just how much source material he has to pull from. That combined with just being a decades-old character, it just seems perfect for him to be in Smash. From a kind of Sony rep, let's move to the other big boy in the gaming market, Master Chief. Master Chief is the face of Xbox. I personally can't think of a single game that represents that console more than the Halo series does. Some might say Minecraft, and even if that's technically the truth because Microsoft owns Minecraft, that's a relatively recent acquisition, so I feel like it just wouldn't be a proper representative of the console. Master Chief and Halo, on the other hand, they just go back so far from the very first Xbox. Even with new games still coming out to this day, I can still remember playing split-screen multiplayer with friends at parties back on the original Xbox, and that was in like 2006. The crazy part to me is that while Master Chief seems to be a more modern gaming icon, he's actually only like 3 or 4 years younger than Banjo. The first Halo came out in 2001, and Banjo-Kazooie released in like 1998. So he's been around a really long time, and he's persisted as one of the great gaming icons, so it just seems like a perfect choice for him to be added to Smash. I've also thought a bit more about the way that the weapons could be used, since in the past I've been worried that violent weapons would be difficult to implement. Without the inclusion of blood, they'll probably be okay. We have a few examples now where guns have been used in Smash with no issue. Characters with guns that appear to fire non-realistic ammo, like Fox or Bayonetta, are probably okay, so the alien tech that Master Chief can use will probably fly alright. They're pretty much in the same vein. And then a character that appears to use real bullets like Joker still seems to be alright. There are probably specific rules by the ratings boards with specific guidelines about what constitutes a gun being rated T or M versus rated E, so things like blood or knockback probably wouldn't be in Smash, which is kind of a no-brainer, and it's probably very possible for them to implement a character like Master Chief while working around those rules. Including things like rockets and grenades, kind of similar to Snake, it just feels like it would work. I don't know, this is one time where the YouTube comments sold me. They won me over, and now I am 100% Team Master Chief without any kind of worry. But it wouldn't be a Smash Pass if we didn't have some kind of advertising for a more recent game, and this is one that I think is very likely to happen, a Generation 8 Pokemon, and the one that I think would be the coolest is Toxtricity. So regardless, I think we're pretty likely to get a new Pokemon for the Fighter Pass, and it's really more of a question of which one we're going to get. Toxtricity is my pick because of a few different reasons. First is that Toxtricity is based on music, which I think would be a unique twist for both a Pokemon fighter and Smash overall. I think we have very few moves based on sound in the game. Ironically, the only one that comes to mind is another Pokemon, which is Jigglypuff using Sing, so it would be cool to see moves that use sound or music in some way. On top of this, he has a unique Poison-Electric typing, so we could somehow see a mixture of elements of Pikachu's moveset and something similar to Piranha Plant's side special, which might be pretty cool. Toxtricity also walks on 2 legs, which is something that Smash definitely favors for the Pokemon, which gives him another tally in the 4 column. It also has 2 forms, which would work well as alternate costumes. There's the amped up form, which gives it a single yellow mohawk-like style, and the low-key form, which puts 2 sets of blue spikes on its head. And last but not least is Waluigi. Now, I don't have a good reason for Waluigi getting in, other than I think he would be a cool character, and I would just like to see all the complaints on Twitter. Leading up to Smash Ultimate's release, I was totally down for Waluigi to be a character in the base roster before he was revealed as an assist trophy, so I'd be down to see him as a fighter still. People say that assists deconfirm characters, and while I do see where they're coming from, I still think it would just be really easy to disable the Waluigi assist trophy whenever Waluigi is picked as a fighter. It doesn't really seem too complicated, stuff like that already happens on certain stages, so it just seems like a pretty easy fix programming-wise, and I would love it. So that is my wish list. However, I recognize that those are just my wishes. I think there's a more rational list of characters that logically have a more appropriate place in the Fighter Pass, and while I don't want them specifically, I still want to briefly discuss a few other characters. Just to be clear, this isn't meant to be a full prediction of the pass, this is just meant to be a handful of characters where if they were added to the pass, I would not be surprised because they just seem like logical picks. First is Travis Touchdown, the protagonist of No More Heroes. No More Heroes 3 is coming to Switch sometime in 2020, according to the latest estimate, so I think it's probable that they may pay tribute to this character in Smash. This will be the 3rd game made exclusively for a Nintendo console by this company, with No More Heroes 1 and 2 being Wii exclusives. Nintendo seems to have a nice relationship with the developers, so it would be very cool to see Travis in the game. Second on my realistic list is still Crash Bandicoot. I truly think Crash is going to be added to Smash objectively. There's been a ton of support for him, and he just feels like a gaming icon in the same way other characters in Smash are. I really don't have more to say on this topic, I just think he's going to be in the game. Next is Rex. It seems odd to me that Rex wasn't able to be included in the roster because of development constraints, but then he still wasn't included as an addition in the first Fighter Pass. And yet Byleth, whose game wasn't even out when the Fighter Pass characters were chosen, could be afforded the luxury Rex wasn't. It just feels weird to me, and I feel like a lot of people have noticed this and talked about it on Twitter, so I just feel like the second pass is as good a time as any to include him. They wouldn't need to worry about securing a development copy because that game is years old now, and there's definitely been some interest in adding him to the roster. It would also be a pretty good opportunity to advertise Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition whenever they decide to give us more news on that game. And if they were concerned about promoting a game like they were with Byleth, then Rex would be just the perfect opportunity. Another character that I think is very likely, Dante from the Devil May Cry series. Honestly, for my full wish list, he is a runner-up. I think he is the next character that I'd want in Smash if there was a hypothetical 7th slot or something. Dante and his game series both have similar energy to Bayonetta and her series. They're both hack-and-slash style games that rely on the mass destruction of enemies. The difference is that while Dante uses guns like Bayonetta, he also uses swords, which could add a neat element of fast-paced moves with both sets of weapons. Hopefully it won't be as unbalanced as Bayonetta was in Smash 4, but I think I'd be okay with that at the cost of having Dante in the game overall. But they probably learned their lesson, they'll probably make him a bit balanced if he has any kind of resemblance to Bayonetta from Smash 4. Now this next spot still lines up with my personal wish list roughly. I think that there will be a Pokemon involved in this Fighter Pass at some point. Whether or not it's going to be what I predicted with Toxtricity, that's debatable, but I think we're gonna see a Pokemon. Now, it could very likely be one of the Galarian starters, or it may be a legendary Pokemon. Urshifu could be a very good candidate, being the rep for one of the DLC packs of Sword and Shield, or Zarude, the newly revealed Monkey Legendary, could also be a good pick. So while I don't know which Pokemon would be added, I definitely think we'll get at least one Pokemon. And the very last spot on this more rational list, if you could call it that, it's still Waluigi. I have him here purely for spite. I just think it would be so funny to see how polarizing his addition would be. There would be people who would be jumping for joy, loving him, and then there would be people threatening to sell their Switch, and I think that would just be hilarious.